Hello, fellow writers and readers. Today is another Storycraft episode where I'm going to talk about character introductions and how it's related to what I've learned from writing screenplays. I've written quite a few screenplays. One of them won a screenwriting award. I didn't feel like pursuing getting those made, so I shifted to publishing indie books. But from learning about screenwriting, uh, there are a few techniques and ideas that I think are useful when it comes to writing a novel. A big important part for a screenplay is the opening image. You try to create an image that shows what kind of movie the people are going to watch, the tone of the film, maybe get a theme across, just within the opening image. So, with this same idea, you can think about it how it relates to when you introduce a character. You don't want to necessarily introduce the character by explaining everything about them. You want one intriguing image that sums up some aspect of the character and what their dramatic arc might be. In a screenplay, you only get what people can see on film. You don't get any other information. And that's a good way to treat the very start of introducing a character. Show the character doing something that demonstrates who the character is and what their current state is, instead of just telling and summarizing about the character. This is sort of like the classic show, don't tell, but what you're striving for is not just showing and not telling, but you're striving to suggest something further on in the story. So if a character is, their quality is that they're always joking, then starting with them joking is important. You can't just have them do something that everyone else would do. It has to be something that's a defining characteristic for this character. First impressions is important, not just for a film's beginning, but for every character you really introduce that's major in your story. You only have one chance to anchor the character in the reader's head when they're first introduced. So it has to be something that's different than the other characters to make them stand out. It has to be a defining, important part of who the character is. You get to choose exactly the circumstances that this character enters the picture. So you probably want to avoid a person waking up, because everyone wakes up, or being tired of their job, or really anything that feels generic enough that this could apply to everyone. Let's say that a defining character is that they're tired of their job, and so they quit at the end of the first act. So their frustration with the job is important to establish. So what's a unique way that they, in particular, their reaction to being upset about a job, that's a different way of reacting than your average person? It's sort of like in murder mysteries where a person dies at the beginning of the murder mystery, and it's always a unique way of dying. It's something that's mysterious that makes you wonder, okay, how did this circumstance happen? So, in a similar way, you want the audience to think, or the reader to think, this is a new way of reacting to this that I haven't seen before, because this character is unique and interesting, and isn't like everyone else that I've know. You want the person on certain levels to be relatable, but it's more important, especially at the start, to make them intriguing. A great thing about writing a rough draft is that You don't always have to come up with the perfect introduction to the characters when you're initially writing. You can rewrite and make that introduction the best it can be. After you've fully developed them and understand exactly who they are, you can come up with an idea of like, oh, this is the circumstance that would be emblematic of who they are as a character and a person. It's the same idea as in a romantic comedy, where the meet cute is an important moment in the construction of the romance. It has to be a memorable, interesting event, and you're trying to get it so that, like, theoretically, in the future, they could talk about how romantic their first meeting was, because it's a memorable, interesting moment. So you want something like that for every character you introduce. It won't always be a romantic moment, but it will be a memorable moment that the reader will remember, so that they're not going to forget who this person is or have the character blend the background or be confused with other characters. Um, your goal is to make your story clear and vivid, and part of that is you have to work a little bit harder than in real life, where you get to see the person and all you have to create these impressions is the words on the page. So take advantage of those introductory moments and make them worth something. That's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm writing a rough draft of a new story, and I'm introducing characters, and this is something that I've been thinking about and crafting and finding fascinating. So hopefully I can talk about more subjects like this that are helpful to me and to you. Thanks.